Good afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
Are you well, ma'am?
I'm very well, and yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. I apologize for keeping you waiting.
It is no problem, Chief Justice.
Yes. Tell us about your degree. Which degree did you obtain where?
Chief Justice, I obtained my LLB degree in 2002 from the University of the Free State, and I obtained my master's degree in 2003 from the same university.
For your was your master's program a plain dissertation, or did you do it through coursework?
At the time, I was given the opportunity to do it through coursework, so it was not a plain dissertation.
So which courses and what was your short dissertation on? Because there's normally a short dissertation at the end, in addition to the coursework that you do.
Chief Justice, at the time, we had the option to take only combined dissertation or dissertation. So I'd taken only the coursework. The majority of my coursework was focused on criminal law.
What about the minority?
The minority was focused on labor law, Chief Justice.
Yes. And what have you been doing all these years? And how has the practical work you have been doing, coupled with your acting instinct, prepared you for the position of Judge of the High Court that you have applied for?
Thank you, Chief Justice. When I had obtained my LLB degree, I returned to Kimberley and I started my articles wanting to stay in the Northern Cape and plow back my skills into the province. In 2005, I was admitted as an attorney, and a few short months later, I joined my current firm as a director, where I served as a chairperson of the board for a number of years, and I'm still at the same firm. Having had those opportunities to represent my firm as chairperson, I have obtained managerial and leadership skills, and I had also then completed I was admitted as a notary, as well as a conveyancer. I was requested by the then Judge President Homu in 2017 to act, which I did from January to December in 2017. And I was then invited back by JP Tlaletsi to act for the first term of 2021. And I'm also currently acting now for the second term. I had also represented the Consumer Protection Court. Well, not represented, but I was on their board. And when the then chairperson of the Consumer Protection Court resigned, I was requested by the CEO to act then as the chairperson of the Consumer Court. All of these factors over the years have led me to obtain certain skills. I've got the necessary experience from everything that I have done, and also the maturity for this position. But added to that, I also have the energy for the job, Chief Justice.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, before I hand over to the JP, may I have the list, please?
Matonsela, Nyambi, Lamola,
Tepe,
Arnold.
Over to you, JP.
Thank you, Chief Justice, and good afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, JP.
Yes, just two aspects that I want to take up with you. Just to give us an update on your form relating to the judgments that have been appealed against. You indicate out of the 6 that the 3 has been upheld, the appeals were upheld, and the others you say it's still outstanding, the other one still outstanding. So if you could indicate, or the other one is unknown, what is the position with the other 3?
JP, as JP had said, 3 of the 6 were upheld. The one I was unable to find, the one where I'd indicated as unknown, I'm unable to find the status of that appeal. I'm not sure if it was ever finalized or if it was actually placed before the court to be argued. I cannot find any indication of the outcome of the one. And then the other 2 are still outstanding, JP. They still need to be placed on the roll to be argued.
And then how is your relationship with the practitioners in Kimberley?
JP, I have a very good relationship with the practitioners in Kimberley. I have been an attorney now for about 16 years, and I have not encountered many problems with any of the practitioners. I have to say that I think that I've earned the respect of my colleagues, and so my relationship with them is good.
And then on your social responsibilities, I see that you were the chairperson of the SGB school governing bodies of the 2 schools, and you're also involved in the Rotary Club. Is that limited to that, or there are other things that you may need to update on your questioning?
No, JP, it was limited to what I put in the questionnaire, serving as a SGB member of a primary school. My apologies. And then also serving as a co-opted member of a high school. And then, of course, my participation in the activities of the Rotary Club of Kimberley.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Ms. Snyders.
Thank you, JP.
Thank you, Honorable JP. Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice, and good afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I just want to ask you, around the panel, you've got 15 men and 3 women. What's your attitude towards that?
Commissioner, my attitude towards that is that it is probably reflective of a lot of what is happening in our society. Fortunately, not at our bench at the Northern Cape High Court, but probably in other areas of the judiciary as well. And then I was the only female attorney in the Northern Cape asked to act on the bench. So it is indicative of what the current standing is in society at the moment, I think.
Okay, my second question is, what's your views about the right-based approach to law in addressing past injustices, which basically include gender inequality and all of that?
Thank you, Commissioner.
And how do you think, if you get appointed to this position as a judge, you'll be able to use that as an instrument to advance this agenda, the agenda for gender equality?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that a right-based approach is imperative in our judicial system because the rights that we have come from the supreme law of our country being the Constitution, and that has to be implemented. It is disheartening to have seen, especially if you speak about gender inequality, looking at the increase of our gender-based violence in South Africa at the moment, which is probably what would be called a second pandemic. And what I have seen is that probably we need to develop the law on this to an extent that there is possibly more uniformity in how these cases are approached. So looking at our jurisprudence, I would want to turn to the decisions taken by our higher courts in order to apply the findings that were made there to improve the sort of uniformity in coming to decisions on these cases.
Thank you very much, CJ, and thanks, Ms. Snyders.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Commissioner Matolo Zepu.
Thank you, Chief Justice, and good afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
One of the things I normally get excited when I see female attorneys applying for the bench, so I'm quite impressed. But one of the things that I see, I wanted to find out, how do you network? I don't see any organizations like the Accept the Law Society. Because I'm asking you this question because the Northern Cape, for me, is still a bit, it doesn't reflect the demographics of the country. And what can you do yourself? What did you do all along to embrace the other attorneys, of color or white? Because normally, we thrive by belonging to organizations. You exchange ideas, you network with your fellow sisters. That's how you know who's been admitted yesterday, whatever it is. So I just wanted to understand, how do you do it? Are you a solo, or do you feel that you need to network? I don't see it in your
Thank you,
application.
Commissioner. I do think that networking is important. It was probably a slight on my record that I've not belonged to as many institutions in order to network. But when we speak about what do I do in terms of my fellow attorneys, I belong to a law firm where I was the only female director for a number of years. And since I've been there, we are 4 altogether. And I think that I've played a role in changing the demographic of our board of directors from one female, majority of males, to where we are now a majority of females on the board of directors. What I also have seen is that I have, as JP had asked me about my relationship with my fellow legal practitioners, I have a very good relationship with them, especially the women. And I find that they come to me often for assistance, whether it's to bounce off ideas about a case they have, or assisting them in drafting a document, or asking for advice on what they should be doing with a case. I have been there. They freely approach me, and I offer them assistance whenever and wherever I can. When I preside over cases in the High Court, especially motion court, I don't know if this will come across the right way, but I do try to have a slightly softer approach with your female attorneys, especially the younger ones or the female practitioners, because you want them to have the courage to come to court, to start honing their skills. You want them to come to a place where they are comfortable, where they know that they are not going to be humiliated or degraded, that they would be assisted in moving their matters. Not to say that you will grant them the applications, but possibly point out where they should be improving or what should be done, so that when they appear before your next brother or sister, the applications can be granted, which improves the efficiency of our courts, but it also gives them a bit of confidence to come there and stand and do their own matters. Regarding my fellow female directors at the firm, I have been there, I think, as a source of strength for them. When you are a group of people in an association, you're bound to experience conflict. And so I always try to encourage them to put their viewpoints across, to stand up for themselves, and to realize that they have a voice and that they are important in the positions that they have.
Follow up, I'm asking this question because I know that the scourge of gender violence in the Northern Cape, and it's very high. And what I expect from our fellow, because I'm an attorney, is to try and go out and really make sure that our people are being assisted, especially our women. Do you participate in such? Did you ever participate in those type?
Thank you, Commissioner. There is a company that provides leadership training, amongst others, to a specific group of women in mining in the Northern Cape. And for the past 3 years, they have asked me to be a guest speaker at the conference that they have with these women, specifically to address sexual harassment in the workplace, and then also attitudes and perceptions of women in the workplace. So yes, in that way I have participated.
Thank you.
Follow up, CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Please follow up, sir.
Thank you. The Black Lives Association and NADEL are organizations within the legal fraternity which are known to champion the interest of Black legal practitioners and, most importantly, women. Do you see value in those organizations?
Do I?
Do you see value in those organizations? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I certainly do see value in those organizations. And as I said, it might be a slight on my record that I've not belonged to as many institutions as I could have or should have, but there definitely is value in those institutions.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Sigogo. Advocate Madonsela C.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Justice.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
One of the objectors who objects to your appointment describes you as, and I quote, one of the worst racist person who have no regard and respect towards Black people, unquote. Any comment?
Thank you, Commissioner. The allegations that have been raised by the unknown author of that letter is completely untrue. Discriminating against Black people would be a form of self-hate. As a colored female, on what basis would I ever treat anyone of a different race as less than myself? Those allegations are not true.
As an acting judge, do you see, what is your view about, and have you ever delivered any extempore judgment in an opposed matter in court?
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe that I may have on 2 occasions in urgent applications delivered extempore judgments, but all of my other written judgments, all of my other judgments were written judgments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Honorable Nyambi.
Afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
As you want to be a judge, if you can share with us 2 attributes of a good judge and those that you think you possess, given what has been said by the people of Kimberley.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think looking at the comments that were said by the, as stated, unknown members of Kimberley, one of the attributes that I do possess is humility. And that is the important attribute of being a judge, because you have to accept that you are there to serve the litigants and to not put yourself in a position where you are treating people in a manner that they should not be treated. You should be treating everyone with respect. And then the other attribute that a judge needs to possess, and that I think that I do, is maturity, because you need that for this job in order to keep your emotions in check and to not let them overrun your intelligence.
Thank you, Ms. Snyders. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Honorable Nyambi. Honorable Minister.
CJ, I'm covered. I wanted to ask the question that Councillor Madonsela has asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Commissioner Tsepe.
Thank you, CJ. Good afternoon, Ms. Snyders.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I just have 2 questions that I wanted to ask you. One is whether, other than your acting stint at the High Court, whether you have any other adjudicative experience that you believe would be relevant for a role as a judge were you to be appointed. And if you could say why you think that experience is relevant.
Thank you, Commissioner. The other adjudicative experience I have is as a board member and as a chairperson of the Consumer Protection Court. I have presided over and adjudicated over matters in terms of the Consumer Protection Act as a member sitting as a single court, and then also part of an appeal process at the Consumer Court. And this is invaluable because this act is becoming more and more widely known and more widely used by the public. And I do expect more review applications to be coming from the Consumer Court to the High Court.
Thank you. My last question relates to production or timeless production of judgments. Have you had any matters where, or how soon have you delivered your judgments in the High Court? Have there been any challenges that you have experienced? And if so, what were they and how have you resolved them?
Thank you, Commissioner. I do not believe that any of my judgments have been outstanding for longer than 3 months, save for one. There was a criminal trial that I had presided over in 2017. There was a criminal trial I presided over in 2017, and an application for leave to appeal by the accused had been lodged within the time frame after that judgment was delivered. This was only brought to my attention probably in August of 2020. So that is one challenge that I faced, where I was not made aware of that application by the registrar, but it is an anomaly in our court. That is not the norm. So I don't think that I had really taken any other steps besides talking to the registrar about this particular matter, because, as I said, it is an exception rather than the rule. But once I became aware of that application for leave to appeal, it was finalized within the 3-month period.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Tsepe. Commissioner Barnard.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, Ms. Snyders. I'd just like to clarify one thing. On page 6 of the application form and page 7, where it asks about the proportion of the work, it seems to, you indicate a percentage of 210% there. So I think there's maybe just a misunderstanding or something. So just if you can just maybe give us a clear understanding of the proportion of your litigation work, in what fields it's been.
Thank you, Commissioner. The basic field that I find myself held up with the most is civil litigation in our High Court, which ranges from opposed motions of various natures and then also trials. And then, of course, the divorces and the liquidations.
So all of those areas that are mentioned there, you do cover, you have dealt with it to some other extent in litigation.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnard. Thank you very much, Ms. Snyders. Your excuse.
Sorry, CJ, I think you forgot me.
Oh, I didn't have you. Go ahead, Prof.
Thank you, CJ. Apologies. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
I would just like to know from you what your judicial philosophy is.
My judicial philosophy is that as a judge of any court, you need to adhere to the core values of integrity, impartiality, and independence. And those three are what I have adopted as my own philosophy in being a judge of the High Court.
Thank you very much. Perhaps just a second one, what is your perception or understanding of the rule of law?
My understanding of the rule of law is that with the Constitution in place, that is the underlying basis for any decision and any application, any development of the law in our country.
Thank you very much. Thank you, CJ.
CJ?
Thank you, Prof. Honorable Malema.
I'm covered.
Ms. Snyders, thank you so much. You're excused, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you.